Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Julie Foucht. Julie is here to talk about how she found her independence, healed from divorce, attracted her current husband, and completely upgraded her life to meet the standards of her highest self. Julie is a believer in trusting your feminine wisdom and is a leader in the industry, all while being an amazing mother to 4 children. I appreciate Julie visiting us here with the Her Version community to share her journey with us. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yes, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit of time and sharing your past, your journey, and all the things that you have gone through to get you to where you are right now. How is your Tuesday treating you?
So far, so good. There is construction happening in my kitchen. So I am hiding from all of that in the farthest room I can get into from them.
Well, we're just glad you're not in a closet.
I thought about closet. You think all the clothing would give nice soundproofing and all of that, but no, I'm not. I'm back here in this back bedroom.
I love it.
Hiding away from the construction noise, which I can't complain because I did say in January I was going to manifest a new kitchen, and they came 2 months early to start on my kitchen, and it's so pretty so far. So
wow,
I'm really excited. Really
oh,
excited.
that's cool.
Yeah, and I will tell you, since this is a podcast about stories,
Yes,
that this is my first complete kitchen in my adult life. So I was previously married to a contractor. We've been divorced over 20 years, and my kids say that he finally has kitchen cabinets and doors on the kitchen cabinets. And
wow.
it's been a long time coming. So I'm really excited about this.
Yes.
And I'm really excited in the way that I manifested it, that I claimed it, and then found a way to make it happen.
Yes. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Well, all of this talk of manifesting, I'm excited just to kind of jump in to your backstory a little bit and then, kind of dive into who you are and where you are now in your life. But can we start with kind of just a little bit about your past, a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So I was raised in a family where my dad actually said this to me as an adult. He raised his boys to get along in the world, and he raised his girls to get taken care of, which meant that underlying all the you can do whatever you want was this message that really I couldn't. And I married my high school sweetheart, who still hasn't grown up, and it became a very abusive relationship.
Oh,
And so when I finally pulled myself out of that after 20 years in that relationship, where I didn't leave because I didn't think that I could take care of my kids. I didn't think I could make enough money to be able to take care of my 4 kids. So when I finally left, I was completely broken and had to learn I mean, it was amazing to me, Sabrina, that, hey, I could go make enough money to make rent on my own, right? And I had worked for his company. And so not only did I leave the marriage, I left my income. I left the house. He had built the house. I didn't want it. I left everything.
Wow.
And so I began to learn, oh, I can take care of myself. And this mission started to come forward of, I don't want another woman to be in this position, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I had thought that I could make enough money, I would have left 10 years earlier.
Okay.
And so I thought, I need to do something. I had no idea what coaching was. It was so new that nobody knew what life coaching was or business coaching. And I thought, I just need to find a way to help other women discover that they can take care of themselves and to make money. And I started taking personal development classes. I discovered the Coaches Training Institute. I went to my first training and I went, whoa, this is where I want to be for my life.
Wow.
This is what I want to do. And I jumped in. But back then, when I jumped in, I really built my business from a very masculine viewpoint. You know, it was really about working hard, working long hours, really striving, really pushing, following all the formulas, and not having the success that was promised with the formulas. Now, I was on the verge of my first six-figure year. I was
Okay.
working my butt off, 6 days a week, really pushing. And I had a car accident and I couldn't do those hours anymore. I would get up, do a call with a client, then go back to laying on ice, right? Because my back was so messed up.
Wow.
And in those spaces between, there started to be this whisper, and it was this voice telling me there's a better way. There's a better way to do business for women. There's a better way to live. And the more that I listened, the more of those pieces I was given. And it really is about, being in tune with your divine feminine, being in the rhythm of your body and your cycle, being aligned with source and creating a business from that space. And that's what allowed me to actually go way beyond six figures and to create a business that provides 4 vacations a year and allows me to manifest a new kitchen during these
Wow.
crazy times and all of that. But it was really this process of having to learn, oh, I am not what my dad said I was. I am not what my ex-husband said I was. Because he managed to control me by reinforcing that you just don't have value
Yeah.
thing. When I was getting ready to leave him, I went to an employment agency and I was told, oh, you're not worth more than $10 an hour. Like, those were the words that were said to me. And I was crushed
Yeah.
because I had 4 kids. How do you raise 4 kids on $10 an hour?
Yeah.
You
Wow.
don't.
Yeah.
So, I had to do a lot of work. And in order to have the relationship I have now, the business I have now, it was work on me. Like, I walked out of that marriage knowing that I couldn't get involved with somebody else because I'd just attract the same person. Because I
Definitely.
was the same person.
How did you
So
know that though? Most people don't figure that out. How did you know that?
how did I know that? I don't
Yeah.
know. I must have been really smart.
Oh, yes.
I think that I had started to do some work, and at the time, I was working with a woman who's a really powerful psychic and a really powerful Reiki master. And I was doing sessions with her, and I think it came up one day in one of my meditations. And I was with my highest self, and my highest self said, you need to have if you want a different relationship, you need to be different.
Yeah.
And I knew from, I had studied psychology, I had studied read Robert Johnson and Carl Jung and all those psychologists. So I just knew that who I wasn't the person who could have the relationship that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
And that it took a lot of work. I went to a number of personal development courses. I worked with a shaman for a while, and even after I met my current husband and we were married, I continue to find teachers and healers to pull me forward into being who I came to the planet to be. And it's not always easy. Even now, like years later doing this work, sometimes I'll fall back or someone will take me out. Someone I respect will say something. And then I'm like, oh no. You ever have those moments like, oh no, I am a false prophet.
Yeah.
And I have to go back to my practices. I have to go back to, okay, let me go into meditation. Let me connect up with source, with the record keepers. Let me go stand. This is a big one for me. Let me go stand on the earth and just feel the support of Mama Earth.
Wow.
And that will bring me back to, oh, this is who I am. I've been on this earth a long time. And I do have a message and I do have wisdom to share.
Yeah.
And when I open, like it's not my wisdom, when I am open to source, I can be a channel for source wisdom, which is such a relief that I don't have to know it all.
Yeah.
I just have to know how to drop in and open.
Absolutely. How have your kids benefited from this whole transformation?
Yeah, that's a great story because I started this work when my kids were a little bit older. And so I see it most in my two youngest kids. The two oldest, it's interesting how kids respond, and all children, no matter how many of them you raise together, they all are different and grow up different. But I think it was when I heard my 16-year-old at the time, she's no longer 16, but she started parroting things. Now, I wouldn't tell her, but there was one day I was trying to find a firefighter. I was taking a picture for a photo shoot I was doing for a PR project. I used to work in PR. And we kept seeing these firemen who were either running in the opposite direction or not in uniform. And she just looked at me and she said, Mom, please, could you be specific in your intention so that we can manifest this and get it over with? And I was like, oh, she does listen.
Oh my gosh.
And so she has listened and taken it on. One of my other kids, my second son, I think he'll someday do work like this. I think he's meant to do this work and he thinks he's meant to do it. He just hasn't done it yet. And then I have one who's like 100%. If it's not science, I'm not going to talk about it, right? And I'm just like, fine, we won't talk about it. And my oldest daughter, who's a lawyer. So, lawyers think they're trained to think a certain way.
Yeah.
She just kind of rolls her eyes at me.
And
I'm like, and that's like what the world does to you. When you actually step into who you're supposed to be. And it doesn't have to be, I'm like totally woo-woo, even if it's not totally woo-woo. But you step into who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
People will roll their eyes at you.
Yeah.
And even those closest to you. Now they love me and they support me, but I talk about past lives and my oldest just like can't even stay in the room.
That's great.
Because that's not legally admissible, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
And I think that's one of those places where you have to decide it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, what anybody else says about you, what anybody else, their opinions. You really have to be in, you have to be in integrity with who you are and your message. And as that starts to come up, it can be really difficult. I mean, I can remember when I first started my coaching practice, I talked about funnels, talked about, your free gift. I talked about your website. And then I would sneak the woo-woo into coaching sessions, right? I'd say, oh, we need to do some inner child work. And my clients are like, wait, we're designing a marketing funnel here. What the?
That's great. I love it.
When I came out of the closet, I sent an email, and my husband and I were at our mountain house, and we're on the opposite ends of the table, which we never used for eating. We just had our computer stuff everywhere. And I'd written an email to my list that said, sometimes I'll pull out a tarot card during the middle of a coaching session, like just kind of to guide the conversation as a way to tap into intuition. And I was crying, and he was like, are you sure you want to send that? And I said, I just don't think I have a choice anymore, right? And the tears were coming down, and I sent it, and I thought, I just crashed my business. No one will ever want to work with me again.
Okay.
I got the greatest response. I actually got clients from that email.
Wow.
Because they were like, that's what I've been looking for. I want someone who can do both the business and the spiritual with me and combine that together.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And that really taught me this lesson of, if I'm in my truth, then there are people out there looking for that truth.
Yeah.
And if I'm hiding it, they can't find it. They can't find me.
Yeah, definitely. In your journey up to this point, what do you think's been your biggest challenge that you've gone through? And let us know what you learned from the challenge.
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think that what it comes down to is really, I'm going to tell you about a recent challenge, like in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Because I've been doing this since, the dinosaurs roamed the planet. So it's been a while. But I will put my trust in people. I'm very trusting. And so sometimes I will put my trust in people where really I need to be more aware of what's going on. So, I'll overlook things. Oh, that person did that, but I'm going to overlook it because I want to be in relationship with them. And I did have a friend that I was pretty close to, and I supported her through so much through COVID. And she took me out at the end. And then I realized she had been poaching clients, and she had been doing some things that just took my confidence down. She would say little things that took my confidence down. And so that was a really big challenge for me because I was heartbroken when I realized what was happening. So I had to go back and heal that.
Wow.
Right. And I had to go in and I had to clear all the energy, and I had to heal that. And I needed to remind my little girl that my ability to trust people was not a negative, right? Because my first thought was, I'll never trust anybody again. Which is like absolutely ridiculous. I know that's not true. I know that that's a superpower of mine.
Yes.
Is to build community and to trust people. And so I really had to look at and do some work with that little girl and tell her she wasn't wrong, that there was nothing wrong with her, and the things that were said about me were not true. So I had to go reassure that little girl first that lives inside of me.
Yeah.
And then I just took some time to reground myself in the earth, to reground myself in my wisdom and what I know to be true about myself.
Absolutely.
I also used a healer who does energy work, and she came in and cleared some of it away. And because sometimes, you can do it for yourself, and sometimes you need somebody else.
Yeah.
And I truly believe in getting other people in there. So if it was, there became this energy block around it. So I brought an energy worker in to help me clear the energy.
Smart.
Right now, the workers are in my kitchen. I'm not down there doing that work. Now, do I know how? I was raised by a contractor. I was married to a contractor. I probably could. I'm not going to do as good a job.
Mm.
And who wants to put cabinets up? I just want them to be pretty, right? I just want to show up and have them set.
Yes.
And I think you have to look at your life that way too, when you're building your life, when you're building your business. I can do my own bookkeeping in my business. I did the books for my ex-husband's business. I helped an ex-boss get it set up. My current husband, I showed him how to do his book. I can do it. I know what a P&L and a profit and loss and all of that is. Do I want to? Absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you look at your business like, you're building a house, which parts of it are really yours to do?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that applies to any part of your life.
Yeah.
I really don't like to cook. I really shouldn't. I need to bring food in. Like, we've got all those meal delivery places now. Or as my youngest said, when I divorced her dad, she said, "You better marry somebody who can cook because we're going to starve to death here."
Funny.
Yeah. So where was I going with that? I don't know. You wound me up.
Well,
I think it's all about, bringing in people that are the right people to support you in what you're building, support you in clearing, support you in visioning. And it doesn't always have to be people you pay.
Yeah.
You can put together a mastermind group to help you with that stuff, but bring in the people like you're building a house.
Yeah, definitely. So how long have you been in self-development?
I certified in 2006. So, my training was a couple years before that. And then before I went through coaches training, the Coaches Training Institute, I was recruited to be part of a company that did goal achievement through self-development. And I worked with them for a couple of years before I went and did my own deeper training. Did some training with them, but it was light. It was nothing like getting certified, which was deep, heavy duty training. And
what do you say to people who don't necessarily understand or appreciate personal development?
I let them be. It's like my son is totally 100%. If it's not science-based, that's okay. If that serves him, then that serves him. And I mean, he doesn't realize he gets it just from being around me.
Yeah.
But people who don't believe it, I'm not going to argue with them. That's fine.
Yeah.
There are so many people out there who are looking for what we offer.
Yeah.
And I believe that before we're born, we make a deal. This is the job I'm going to do when I get down there. This is the mission I'm going to support. Here's the people I'm going to serve. And then we all come down to earth. We get born. We have our experiences. We learned through our wounding process the skills we need to do that job, to serve our people.
Wow.
So if our people are out there, I don't have to convince somebody that what I do is legitimate. I just have to put out enough breadcrumbs that the people who I'm here to serve can find me.
So who gave us our assignment?
That I don't know. I look at it, the way I look at it is like there's a big job board in the spirit realm, and we go in and go, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to need this at a certain point of time. I'll take that one.
Wow.
And then we have and if you read, what's the guy's name? Gary Zukav wrote The Seed of the Soul.
Okay.
He talks about this a lot. It's a very old book.
Okay.
But then there are people around us who come down and go, okay, I'm going to support you in this. As human beings, we are wounded as children, and our response to those wounds
Yeah.
are what gives us the unique skills to serve our tribe, our people.
Wow.
And so there are other people who will make a soul agreement that they will wound us. So when I look at
What?
right, so I look at the situation with my ex-husband, right? Here's somebody who, if I look at it just from this physical realm, I
Okay.
can really hate him. Like, he was really awful.
Okay.
And I raised my kids in a situation that I regret because I stayed in the situation. And I could blame him and I could be angry and resentful.
Okay.
And when I look at it from this viewpoint of our agreement was he was going to wound me. And what happened in that wounding is I learned to be strong. I learned to stand up for myself. I learned that I could create whatever I wanted. And those were powerful lessons. And as a soul, for him to do the wounding that he did to me,
Okay.
I just feel bad for him, right? I feel bad for the soul of him, not him as a person, right? Here in the physical realm, but his soul did horrible things.
Yeah.
And so I can have a lot of empathy for that. And I can have
Wow.
gratitude to his soul that it took on that he was going to do these things to me.
Wow. So they say abuse goes generation to generation. Most people don't just like wake up one day and are abusive. So is this a kind of like the job stayed in the family?
It's so interesting. I didn't see that from his parents at all.
What?
Yeah,
Not even covertly?
his mother's very controlling. I call her the Borg, from the
Okay.
old Star Trek thing where
Yeah.
everyone has to do what the Borg says.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the abuse. Um, I believe that there may be some underlying psychological.
Okay.
I think, and there's never been a diagnosis. I think he's a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I think that's what created the situation. My youngest and I have some disagreements about that.
Okay.
She thinks he's on the spectrum, and that's why.
Okay.
But none
I
of
can
it's
see
ever
that.
been diagnosed. We're not doctors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, totally. I totally get that. Wow, that is so interesting. And I so appreciate that perspective. And yeah, it makes it a little bit easier to have empathy for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I work hard to stay there. Especially when I have to be around him. I work hard to stay in that state.
Yeah.
Um, and you can do that with any of your abusers from your life, is you can look at it that way.
Yeah.
Um, I find it healthier. I don't have to carry around a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
Like, it makes my life lighter to not have to carry that resentment around.
Yeah.